Hello everyone, welcome to City Talk. I'm Thermice Bevelle. Dozens of people gathered on Edgewood Avenue to witness the delivery of Atlanta's first streetcar. City Talk's Troy Danicus was there with an excited crowd.
Curious onlookers got their first look at the Atlanta streetcar as the semi-truck carrying it made its way off the interstate ramp and onto Edgewood Avenue. The delivery of the streetcar was delayed due to Winter Storm Pax and Leon before that.
It's been trucked across the country from Sacramento, California, and it'll be coming in on a truck. We'll take it off onto the tracks and move it into the vehicle maintenance facility.
The last time a streetcar was seen rolling down Atlanta streets was over 60 years ago. Service was discontinued in 1949 when people began moving into the suburbs, making the automobile a necessity.
Seeing this actually come to fruition really means a lot to the city. 200 people will be able to ride on these vehicles, standing room, and we'll have 4 of them initially. And I just think it's going to be exciting to see what can happen, not just in the heart of the city, but throughout our city as we begin to look at transportation in a very, very different manner going forward.
The Atlanta streetcar's 2.7-mile route will take passengers from Centennial Olympic Park through the Fairleigh Poplar and Sweet Auburn districts to the MLK National Historic Site and back again. 12 stops will dot the route along the way. Getting the streetcar on the street is the first step to finally getting the service up and running.
While we finish construction of the tracks, we'll do work on the cars to make sure that they're ready to go, and then we'll start testing of the vehicles.
Service is expected to begin in late spring after several initial test runs. Each trip will cost $1, or you can pay $3 and ride the streetcar as much as you want for that day.
We have a new mode of transportation in our city after almost 50 years. It says a lot to the testament and the will of Atlanta to kind of be a forward-looking city.
For City Talk, I'm Troy Danicus.
The Atlanta streetcar is expected to be operational in late spring. To learn more about the project, visit streetcar.atlantaga.gov. Mayor Reed took the stage to give his 5th State of the City address to hundreds of supporters and members of the business community who gathered at the Marriott Marquis. The mayor spoke about recent accomplishments with the Centers of Hope and increasing public safety. He says he wants to work with other leaders to ensure that repeat offenders are kept off the streets.
You know, in the Atlanta Police Department, we stood up the Apex unit, whose sole objective is to target the worst offenders. And every Apex arrest made from April 2011 to 2013 resulted in a felony charge. But despite this, 72% of the 95% of those convicted spent no time in jail.
The City Utilities Committee held a work session to discuss street reconfiguration along Martin Luther King Jr. Drive near the new Falcon Stadium. MLK Drive used to be a heavily traveled east-west connector that went from Oakland Cemetery through downtown Atlanta to the Chattahoochee River on into Cobb County. But now with the new football stadium coming, Atlanta must figure out how to connect neighborhoods near the stadium with downtown. The proposal is to reroute traffic west of the stadium onto residential streets.
I do want to reiterate that contrary to prior comments, the rerouting of MLK is not going to dead end at Northside Drive. It is going to continue across Northside down what is now Mitchell to reconnect into MLK.
People who live near the Georgia Dome who are impacted by all of this say they are concerned about the long-term effects and would like to have more input. The Council for Quality Growth invited Councilman Ivory Lee Young Jr. to give a presentation about what's going on in Council District 3. The organization is a not-for-profit trade group that promotes balanced and responsible growth in Georgia. Young is pleased that the association has taken an interest in Atlanta's west side.
It's a very learned group, a very knowledgeable group, and a group that I hope will be of a real benefit to us long term in helping to get our redevelopment agenda moving forward.
Other council members have also been invited to these monthly meetings to make presentations about their districts. Councilman Young honored the late Reverend Hosea Williams and the Hosea Feed the Hungry and Homeless organization. Young took a special moment to reflect on the life and contributions of Reverend Williams. Hosea Williams was a civil rights leader, minister, businessman, and public servant whose courage in Atlanta and throughout the South stirred people into nonviolent protest against racial, political, economic, and social injustice, a far cry from the man who wanted to be a chemist.
Talked his way into Morris Brown College and became the first black chemist to be hired by the United States government. So he was actually a chemist, and that was going to be his life. We had a very good lifestyle in Savannah because of that.
Hosea Williams was given the assignment that there ought to be something done to bring awareness to the lack of voter rights and the need for voter education.
Williams spearheaded some of the most significant endeavors that led to major improvements in society. He participated in countless marches and demonstrations that resulted in change across the country. His public life also included serving as an Atlanta City Councilman, a DeKalb County Commissioner, and a state representative.
He thought that politics was the answer to freedom for African Americans. First, he thought that was what he would be doing. But what he found out was that he belonged with the people in the neighborhoods, in the communities that they lived, helping them empower themselves.
In 1971, Williams started Hosea Feed the Hungry, serving meals to the poor and the homeless. His daughter continues his legacy.
I was not planning to do that, I don't think, and I keep asking myself that question. But when destiny falls on you, you don't have a choice.
Reverend Williams was an outspoken civil rights activist who passed away in 2000. The Atlanta Beltline won another accolade for its work in transforming areas of the city. The Environmental Protection Agency presented Mayor Reed with a Smart Growth Award for the historic Fourth Ward Park and the East Side Trail. Atlanta Beltline's success in connecting communities in an environmentally friendly way helped win the award. Historic Fourth Ward Park was once an abandoned lot that flooded during heavy rains. The East Side Trail is a 2-mile stretch of the Beltline that joins 5 neighborhoods that were once disconnected. The Department of Public Works has safety at the top of the list as the city expands its bicycle infrastructure. Atlanta recently entered into an agreement with Cycle Hop to establish several rental stations throughout the city. Cycle Hop's bike sharing service allows customers flexibility and security with GPS locks that attach to existing bike racks. The planning department is working with Cycle Hop to establish the service.
One of the things that the bicycle program is going to do is going to allow people to rent bikes on a shorter distance, and a person will pick up a bike at one station and return it to another station.
The agreement is aimed at achieving the mayor's goal of doubling bike-to-work commuters by 2016. To that end, the city has allocated $2.47 million to add 50 miles of multi-use trails, bike lanes, and cycle tracks. With more cyclists on the streets, the safety of riders and drivers is a top priority.
We're looking at having shared lanes in some areas and making sure we have it at proper signage in different areas and to cover the bicycles so they do remain safe, and painting clear routes through those intersections as well too. So safety is our #1 concern.
The bike sharing program won't cost taxpayers anything. Cycle Hop is teaming up with Social Bikes and 2 Atlanta firms to operate the service. Councilmember Keisha Bottoms won a Blinky Award. Blinky Awards recognize Atlanta Bicycle Coalition supporters, members, and advocates by paying tribute to those working towards a bicycle-friendly Atlanta.
It's a huge honor to receive this award on behalf of the district because it's just a recognition that we are just becoming a more friendly area in terms of alternative transportation, and so this is a really big deal for all of us in the city of Atlanta, but especially on the south side and on the west side of Atlanta.
The Blinky Awards are an annual celebration of biking in Atlanta. APS held its annual technology fair, which allows students to present original research projects. Councilman Andre Dickens was one of the judges.
We have these wonderful kids all the way from 3rd grade all the way up to 12th grade that are presenting their technology projects. A lot of them have done things with computers, robotics, everything from PowerPoint all the way up to AutoCAD to design projects. And I mean, this is an outstanding display of this knowledge that students have.
First place winners move on to the statewide technology fair. Atlanta has big plans for the Oakland City Pool. And Councilmember Felicia Moore is here to talk about what's going on in District 9. Stay with us. Councilmember Felicia Moore is with us today. Ms. Moore, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
The Perry Bolton Tax Allocation District was established to redevelop about 500 acres in Northwest Atlanta. Tell us a little bit about those TAD projects.
Well, first of all, the TAD started off from an idea of redeveloping Perry Homes housing project, which is now West Highlands. And so that's where it started. So that's the Perry part of it. And then Bolton, as we went along, made sure that I pushed to add some of that area to it as well, so that we got a seamless sense of development on both sides of the district. And so that's how we got started, and we're so happy that we finally had our first bond issue passed.
And you guys are expecting a new Publix and CVS, and what are some of the other projects?
Well, CVS is already in place, and some of the things have already taken place, again, in the TAD, and just waiting for reimbursement, one being West Highlands. CVS is already a part of the new redeveloped Moores Mill Shopping Center that everyone's looking forward to, with a Publix that will be built. And we also had another small office project, Bolton Village, which was a part of this bond issue. So those things have taken place. And we've also had the fortune of using some of the increment that was in the background. So we also already have a new Fire Station 28, which of course I'm very proud of, because they took my idea and we have the first and only, I think, community center, police mini precinct, and fire station all together with new engines and everything. So people are very excited about some of the progress we've had with the Perry Bolton TAD.
There have been several reports of thefts at Atlanta's water department, and you requested an audit of watershed security.
Yes, I did. I got concerned because we kept getting repeated and repeating, not over just recently, but over the years of thefts that have taken place. And one of the things that I found most disturbing was when we went back to look at the cameras, either the cameras weren't operable or we weren't able to see. And so I know that the council as well, we spent millions of dollars, or we have approved millions of dollars for cameras, for them to be able to be monitored, for them to be integrated, and other security related areas, and we just haven't seen the results. I'm not saying that nothing will ever come up missing, but when you get into meters that weigh 700 pounds, or backhoes, which are large equipment that have to have their own lowboy or trailer to pull them on, then we're really getting into some areas where there should be some security cameras, some security measures that will help us prevent it, or either to solve these issues. And so what I've asked for is an audit that will look at the capability of the people who are providing our security services, look at the things that we have in place, look at what we've come up with in terms of inventory control, to look at the gamut and to come back with us with some real recommendations of what things that are vulnerable and what things that we need to look at, because of course we pay the highest water rates in the country, and the last thing citizens want to know is that millions of dollars are just walking out the door.
Your spring tire drive is coming up soon, and this is District 9's effort to rid the area of abandoned tires and to help the environment. Yes, and we have it twice a year, and so we're ready for the spring. We always do it in the spring and in the fall. So then April of this year, we haven't set the dates yet. We will ask citizens to either put out tires or to collect them and bring them to a collection location. Luckily, that the numbers of tires that we're collecting over time is going down. I think last time we had about 3,000. Prior to that, we had maybe twice as many. So we are seeing some progress, but the tire issue is still a major one. And Councilmember Shepherd and I are certainly going to be pushing for the legislation to help monitor how these people travel through the city with these tires, so that we can maybe put a stop to it. Collins Memorial United Methodist Church has a permanent food pantry, and they provide food assistance to families in your area, and you're even there at Thanksgiving helping with the food distribution. So this church's generosity is very helpful to residents in the Riverside and Bolton communities. Yes, well, our area is what's considered a food desert. There's not really a lot of places where people can get quality food.
And Collins started with distributing to 25 people. Now they're up in the 500 range. And I try to go at least once or every other month just to distribute myself and to talk to the residents. And there are people who will live directly within the community. And what's so wonderful about it that I have found is the food that they're able to get there. Let's say it totaled maybe $30 or $40 if they had gone to the grocery and purchased it themselves. That's $30 and $40 as someone who's on a fixed income or who are just trying to make ends meet don't have to spend on food, and they can put it towards their prescription. They can put it towards their light or their water. And so it's really a helpful stopgap measure for many people who are in need.
Tell us about some of the things you're looking forward to this year.
Well, this year there are so many things that I have in my mind that are on the plate, and whether we get them all done, I don't know. But one of the things I am really interested in doing is reactivating and remotivating people to use Project Lifesaver. As you all know, back in 2006, I established Maddie's Call, which is being widely used, and so I'm going to be working with that effort. So if you have someone with Alzheimer's or dementia or some other medical or mental condition that may tend to wander, they can register with the program for that. But the city has gone a step further with Project Lifesaver, where you can get a monitoring bracelet for that person, and the Atlanta Police Department will be able to find them a lot quicker because they use technology to be able to track the person with that bracelet. So we're looking to work with the police department to get a grant, hopefully, that will help us to expand that program. I had a neighbor who just recently, and people may have seen it in the news, who wandered from home and was found dead. And so that just drives me crazy when I know that we've got the processes in place. What we really need to do is expand that program and get it out to more people. And so that's one of the many things I'll be working on this year.
Okay, Councilmember Moore, thank you so much.
Thank you.
One community celebrates its historic significance to our city, and several groups come together to restore a major stream in Atlanta. Back in a moment. Collier Heights residents celebrated all things historic. The community had a good time at the local historic designation party. The Atlanta City Council unanimously approved legislation back in May to create Collier Heights as a historic district to protect the community from demolitions or substantial changes that alter its character. Historic Collier was in the spotlight 5 years ago when it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
And this is wonderful, really primarily because this community is historic, and there's a lot of great history in this particular neighborhood.
A lot of work, a lot of dreams, a lot of sweat and tears went into trying to get to a highest imagination point. Shows if you do hard work, beautiful things will happen.
The neighborhood has been highly promoted to a regional audience by the Atlanta Daily World newspaper and has also been featured in national publications like Time Magazine, Ebony Magazine, and the New York Times. There is a grassroots movement afoot, and it's happening in our own backyard. It's the restoration of Peachtree Creek. The Department of Parks and Recreation, along with the Office of Sustainability, has teamed up with the South Fork Conservancy to restore the beauty of the creek.
I want you to see these because these are pure American chestnuts.
Welcome to the second grade class at Garden Hill Elementary School in Atlanta.
Take your nut and point the end of the root straight down.
Today, these students are going green and learning how to plant Native American chestnut trees.
I never in my life when I was in school planted anything bigger than, I don't know, flower seeds. These kids are planting little seeds that will grow into mighty, mighty trees.
Those mighty trees that will grow from planted seeds will eventually end up here, along the Peachtree Creek that winds through various backyards and underpasses of Metro Atlanta.
Susan to get us permission to take the guardrail down, and DOT said they would.
Sally Sears is the executive director of the grassroots organization called the South Fork Conservancy.
What we want to do is restore the creeks in our backyards in the city of Atlanta so that people can return to them and enjoy them again by building simple trails and putting native plants back where they used to be.
And to do that, the Conservancy has teamed up with Georgia's Department of Transportation and the City of Atlanta.
That's your standard thing is the vertical slats.
Commissioner George Dusenberry and his team from the Department of Parks and Recreation are getting a first look at the trails that will connect to the Atlanta Beltline and beyond.
It's actually not just the Beltline. We are pretty much within half a mile of where the Georgia 400 trail, which will go all the way up Georgia 400 to the city limits, the Atlanta Beltline Spur Trail coming up to Lindbergh, and the South Fork all will converge here.
This one here. Let's trade.
Back at Garden Hill Elementary School, Denise Quarles, director for the city's Office of Sustainability, is pitching in and teaching these youngsters the importance of preservation.
This is another opportunity for us to work with our young leaders of tomorrow to really teach them about preservation. Green space and trees are so important to our everyday lives, and preserving that, we all play a role.
Renovations to the 15-acre Orange Park in Oakland City will include several amenities. Councilmember Cleta Winslow joined Mayor Reed and other city officials to announce the demolition of the Oakland City Pool. The pool has been closed since 2007 and has been deteriorating since then. The park is named after civil rights activist Reverend James Orange, and his daughter was there for the unveiling. The mayor wanted to give residents something they could be proud of.
And I'm here to tell you, when we get finished, this is going to be a special place in the city of Atlanta that is worthy of the memory of Reverend James Orange. And so I'm thrilled to announce that we're going to build a new pool, a new bathhouse, a new splash pad right here at the Reverend James Orange Park at Oakland City.
The vision for the park's bright future is the result of community groups working together with city leaders and others.
It started out with the Parks Department working with bringing in Park Pride, and they came together with the community and did a visioning plan over about a 2-year period.
The park will offer a new pavilion, plaza, lighting, and stormwater runoff upgrades. The Martin Luther King Middle School natatorium is closed for maintenance. The indoor pool on Connolly Street is closed until April 13th. Residents are encouraged to enjoy one of the city's other natatoriums at Adamsville, Roselle Fan, or Washington Park. For more information, call the Aquatics office at 404-546-6774. We'll take a look at Atlanta's response to the ice storm, and the city shows business owners how to network and market their companies. That's next. For the second time in a matter of weeks, sub-freezing temperatures descended on the southeast, bringing with it ice, snow, and freezing rain. Troy Danicus shows us what Atlanta's emergency responders did to lessen the impact on the city.
Winter Storm Pack served as more of an inconvenience than a catastrophe thanks to the planning by city, regional, and state leaders. Businesses and schools were quick to shut down operations to keep parents and their kids at home. Mayor Reed said those decisions were the biggest assets for emergency responders.
It really has made the essential difference in allowing us to reduce the number of traffic incidents and really to meet our first obligation, which is to keep people safe.
During the 3-day ice storm, the city's public works and watershed departments, along with private contractors, cleared nearly 600 miles of bridges and streets throughout the city. Crews worked 12-hour shifts to make sure roads would be passable for emergency crews.
I am pleased with the very hard work that the women and men on the front line have been doing. They've been showing up. We've had very little absenteeism. They're working 12-hour shifts, and I think that our effort rises and falls on them.
Over at the North Avenue Operations Center, crews were loading up their spreaders in anticipation of the storm. While trucks filled their beds with sand, others on the inside were determining where to deploy their people.
And the map and its graphics are going to assist decision makers in the best use of the resources that we have and how to address the storm. This map is going to be simultaneously viewed in the North Avenue Operations Center as well as the Joint Operations Center downtown.
Councilmember C.T. Martin, who represents District 10, spent some time there with the crews and said he was happy with the response.
We've planned it well, we're following the plan, and we're prepared. And to come and see how magnificent it can be when everything is clicking in this rhythm, and we have all the parts, and so we're able to do the best job. We're able to do an efficient and effective job, and we have outstanding crew.
For City Talk, I'm Troy Danicus.
Watershed Management, the Office of Contract Compliance, and the Department of Procurement hosted a Partnering for Progress Vendor Expo to suggest ways companies can optimize their efforts in getting government contracts.
We want people to walk away with the knowledge of learning how to do business with the city and also how to solicit bids for these particular agencies.
Each department will present our upcoming projects for the next 12 months to give people a leg up and help you understand and be prepared when the projects actually go out for bid.
This is the second year the city has held the expo. Google wants to bring its ultra-high-speed broadband access to Atlanta. It's called Google Fiber, and it delivers internet connections up to 100 times faster than current service. Mayor Reed says Google will work with city leaders to explore how to build a new fiber optic network to deliver the ultra-high speeds. Google Fiber is already available in cities in Kansas, Missouri, Utah, and Austin, Texas. We'll get it later this year. Thank you for watching City Talk. I'm Thermice Bevelle.